Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to our Saturday at-home junior classes. This is week number 3. Week number 1 and number 2, we went through chipping, pitching. We've gone through a little bit of alignment last week and the start of the backswing. We'll get to more full swing stuff next week. But today, in case you haven't noticed, we are going to work on putting. Got my putter here. Hopefully you guys have the same. What you're going to need for this, I'm lucky enough to have a little putting mat that I bought off Amazon a long time ago. They're a little trickier to get now for obvious reasons. But if you don't have one of these, of course, you can just use carpet, you can use hardwood floor, whatever you need, or whatever you have is going to be fine. So you'll need, your putter, obviously. We're going to use 3 golf balls. There is going to be a drill kind of at the end, so you'll need these 2 extra golf balls. And of course, it's always good to have a couple extra ones so you don't have to chase it down all the time after you do hit a putt. This one is cool enough to return it a little bit for me. It's not as good on the carpet as it is on the hardwoods, but like I said, if you don't have any of these, you can of course just use carpet or hardwood floors, whatever you have at home. Okay, so before we get really deep into the putting part, with our quarantine still going, looks like it's going to go for at least a couple more weeks, probably closer to middle of May, maybe even June 1, right when we're getting into the summer. I want to talk to you guys a little bit and just kind of prep you for some of the changes you're going to see to our junior camp once we do get going again, face-to-face and on property at Richmond Country Club. So a couple of the things here. You can see this putting mat does have a hole in it. Obviously there's holes out on the golf course. There's pins in those holes once we get out there, whether we're on the putting green, chipping green, or out on the golf course playing. One thing I want you guys to be aware of is you're going to see some weird things out there probably. You may see the cups raised so the ball doesn't actually go into the hole. We want to try and keep you guys away from touching the flag sticks. We want to, communal areas or things that a lot of different people would touch, we're going to stay away from. The big one for you guys, and I need the parents out there, hopefully you're listening, or kids, please pass this along to your parents. If you don't have clubs, please let me know. I need to get you some, or you need to get some. It's a good time to order it right now. You can find them pretty inexpensive, just basic set. Don't need a full set, we just need some clubs because we're not going to be able to share clubs. I do have some loaners there that you guys can clean and borrow, but we're not going to be able to share. So you can't use your buddies, you can't use your sisters, you can't use your brothers. Everybody needs to have their own clubs, okay? So even if you are quarantining at home, I really do want everybody to have their own set of clubs. So hopefully we can take care of that. Again, if you have any questions about that stuff, pass it along to your parents. If you don't have a set, and I will work with them to make sure you have something of your own by the time we get back. So we want to get ahead of that and want to get things ordered if we do need to. Happy to take care of a lot of that stuff for you guys. Okay. The other thing you're going to see, and we're going to separate you guys into groups. So I really need, it's going to be really important that you guys do let me know when you are coming. We've been pretty lax with that. Just show up if you can. I do need to know how many students are going to be there each week so I can plan if we need another teacher, because we are going to have to separate you. If we get our groups up to 20 or more, like we were doing before, we're really going to have to separate you into 2, maybe even 3 groups, and keep you in those groups for each week, at least for the foreseeable future. So going to be some changes. Biggest thing, and I want you guys to remember for now, and especially as we'll go through it as we talk about each thing, whether we're talking about full swing next week, or short game in the weeks to follow. For putting, I want you guys to be really aware we're not going to touch the flag stick. So it's a new rule in golf that you don't have to take the flag stick out. You're going to see flag sticks being left in the hole for a long time, probably the next 6 months minimum. So get used to that. Don't touch the flag stick. We're going to figure out, you're going to see some different ways, and we're working on some things at Richmond, so the ball doesn't go in the cup or it's easy to remove. It's going to be a touchless way to remove the golf ball from the hole. So be aware of that. We're going to be really diligent on that stuff, so the parents don't have to be afraid. There's a lot of different ideas, a lot of different rules coming out to help us get back to golf as soon as possible and get back to golf, most importantly, safely. So without further ado, we'll get into putting here. Hope you guys had a great week last week, and hope you guys are having fun this weekend. So here we go. Okay, so first thing I want to talk to you guys about today with putting is, when do we putt? Okay, obvious answer is when we're on the putting green. Okay, everybody knows that term. Everybody knows what the putting green is, hopefully. That's not the limit to where we can putt. Whenever you're close to the green, okay, your first option should always be putting. If you can putt it, putt it. If you can't putt it, you chip it. If you can't chip it, you pitch it. Okay, and then there's one other shot there that we'll talk about, maybe in a future clinic, but most likely when you're not having to swing inside the house, it's a full swing. That's the flop shot. Okay, well that goes way up in the air. It's a fun one to try. It's a little bit more of a trick shot for you guys just to mess around with and have some fun. We'll talk about that later on in a future clinic. But for today, we're going to focus on putting. Okay, so whenever there's long grass around the green, we don't want to have to hit a putt through that. Okay, the key to putting is to get it onto the ground, to keep it really, really low. Get it on the ground, get it rolling as soon as possible. Okay, the sooner we can get it rolling, even if we're hitting a chip shot, that's why chip shots are a little bit easier, a little bit more accurate than a pitch shot, and certainly more than a flop shot. Putting is the most accurate. We're trying to be, and hopefully will be, of any of the shots that we try to attempt on the golf course. So putting, it's not limited just to the putting green. If you guys are just off the putting green and it's still short grass, obviously we're not going to be able to carry anything, as far as fly it over anything. When we hit this putt, it's going to start on the ground and it's going to hopefully stay on the ground, okay? We don't want it bouncing around. We don't want to feel like we're swinging up on it, trying to hit any loft or anything like that. We're trying to keep the putting stroke as level as possible. Now, it does need to have a little bit of arch, okay? So arch is going to be how much the putter comes off the ground as we bring it back, right? That would be about right for how much arch there is, okay? And there's two different things. There's arch and arc, okay? This is a better view for arch, all right? And we want to do it, and when we think about this, we don't want it, if we're using a lot of wrists, you can see that putter comes up really quick. My hands haven't moved a lot, right? And a lot of people will get a little too wristy, and I know a lot of you guys out there do it. So we want to definitely get away from using the wrists too much. But we also don't want to manipulate it, okay? So as I take the putter head back and I use my upper body to take it back, again, we're not using the hands, okay? We are using the upper body and we're not even using the lower body. We start off with 50-50 weight, back foot, front foot, putter's right in the middle, right on our belt buckle, okay? And the shaft of the club is straight up and down. We don't want it leaning too far forward. We don't want it leaning too far back. We want it straight up and down. But as you can see, as I take the putter back, if I don't manipulate it and extend my arms or pull my arms in, it's got a natural arch to it, okay? You can see how it's working on a little bit of a semicircle underneath, right? Even for the longer the putt that I take, the more evident that is, okay? If I were to hit this would be maybe 100-foot putt, but you can see how high the putter gets off the ground, okay? So we're not trying to manipulate it, we're not trying to keep it close to the ground. We're just trying to keep our hands and our arms about the same distance away from our upper body. Don't do this, no manipulation, no messing around with it. That's gonna help us be a lot more accurate with the stroke, okay? So that's arch, it's gonna be just a slight arch going this way. Now when we talk about the other one, arc, okay? A little bit easier from this view, right? I take the putter out, ball out of the way. As I, again, try to not manipulate the putter head. I don't want to feel like I'm using my hands and trying to bring it in here or keep it straight or bring it straight back that way. That's going to all cause manipulation in my arms and my hands. And when we do that, we're going to be a little bit less accurate. So again, putting on the golf course is the most accurate we're ever going to try and be. We are actually trying to get it in the hole in the first try, okay? If you don't make it, the next thing we're going to talk about here, and we'll touch on that, the two most important things, speed and aim to making a putt, okay? But again, we'll get back to that. So arc is going to be how much the putter, as I turn back and through, works on a semicircle this way, okay? You can see if we were playing pool, we'd want the putter head to come straight back on that line here and straight through, okay? Because pool, we're standing behind the ball, right? Now, golf, since we're on the side of it, if we're not doing any manipulation, there's going to be a slight arc to the stroke. Okay, you can see the putter comes in here, back to where we started, and then a little left of it there. Okay, so that's the difference between arch and arc. Okay, both of them are very important. It's a little bit more fine tuning, once we get to that part, or if there's issues with you or problems that you're having with that, I need to be able to take a look at it. So we don't need to touch on it too much. I just want you, again, to be aware of some of the terms we use in golf. In this part of the video, we're going to talk a little bit about grip. Now, we talked about last week or the week before about the 3 different kinds of grip, right? Interlock, overlap, or 10-finger, some people call it baseball grip. Okay, I don't mind what you guys are using, but what I want you guys really to focus on and play around with and see if it helps you when you guys are practicing at home is when you grip the club, I want your palms to face each other. Okay, so we're not going to have this one turned over this way and this one here. You can see my palms aren't facing each other. We want to have it just like we were standing here and clapping our hands together, palms facing each other and on opposite sides of the grip. Okay, so you can see there's palms facing each other. I've got my left hand on the left side of the grip, right hand on the right side, and then I'm going to take my grip that way. All right, now when you look closely at it, again, we'll get a little closer. Palms facing each other, then we're going to take our grip, okay? Feel like it gets comfortable there. You can see the V's. We talk a lot about the V's in the full swing and the full grip. We don't need to worry about that as much. You can see they're not matching perfectly, okay? But the palms are certainly facing each other, okay? So there, and then we grip it that way, okay? So that's what I want your puttering grip to really look like. Or the one part I want you guys to change compared to your normal putting stroke, okay? And then as far as setup goes, posture, ball position, weight transfer, we'll go back, again and touch on, we're not really using, our lower body. From the belt down, we want to keep that as still as possible. How wide should your stance be? Heels of your feet should be equal to your shoulders, okay? If we're to draw a line from here straight down, you can see my heels are just outside of it or maybe right on top of that line that we draw, right? So that's the width of your stance. I'd much rather have you a little bit too wide than a little too narrow, okay? So as we take our stance, we're gonna feel nice and comfortable, just a little wider than our normal stance if we were just standing there, okay? And then hands right underneath our belt buckle and the shaft of the putter straight up and down. Not leaning forward, not leaning backwards, straight up and down. Okay, now as far as posture goes, how much do we lean forward? Do we roll our shoulders over that way? We definitely don't want to roll the shoulders, but we do need to have some tilt or some lean forward with our upper body. Okay, and again, we're not going to do it with our lower body, and we're not going to roll our shoulders. We're going to bend at the waist. Okay, so what I want you guys to do, go ahead and take a good grip, and I want you to hold your putter straight out in front of you this way. And what we're going to do is just tuck our elbows in so they just barely touch our rib cage. Okay, now from this position, we're going to bend at the waist, a little slight knee bend, and when that putter touches the ground, that's how much we need to lean. Okay, now we can go ahead and just use our upper body, hopefully, to let the putter head start moving. As I rotate my shoulders and my chest, we get a little movement with the putter, right? Now, if we want to hit a short putt, it's just a little bit of movement with our upper body. If we want to hit it a little further, we don't take it back the same amount as that short one and then try and hit it really hard with our hands. We just let gravity do it. We take the putter back a little further and then same tempo through and hit the putt. That's going to make the ball go a little bit further. Okay, so grip is going to be a little bit different. We want palms facing each other. Setup's going to be a lot different. When we talk about irons and all that stuff, we usually have the shaft leaning forward just a little bit that way. Putting, we want it straight up and down, hands right on our belt buckle there, and then just the right amount of lean where our elbows are just barely touching our rib cage. We bend at the waist, and we can start taking some practice strokes. Okay, so when you guys feel comfortable with a little bit of a different grip, learning how much to tilt our upper body that way when we're hitting putting or hitting putts, I want you guys to, without a golf ball, start taking some practice strokes. And I want them continuous, okay? I want you guys to start building some rhythm in your putting stroke. If you can just sit there and go back and forth, same rhythm. You can even take shorter ones and take longer ones. Okay, just like that. If you guys start using your hands a little bit, it's going to feel very awkward. It's going to feel out of rhythm, okay? So we want you guys just to start building some rhythm, some tempo. Don't feel like you got to hit the putter. The putter's got, a little bounce to the face too, so you don't need to create any power. We just want to come in contact with it. Okay, we're going to call that pressure. How much do we hit it? how much pressure do we put on the golf ball with the putter head. If we can keep that pressure pretty much the same for all the putts and just change the length of our stroke, that's how we're going to be able to control distance most accurately. Once we do get on the putting green, our goal is maximum amount of putts is 2, okay? So anywhere on the putting green, if you have a putter in your hand, your goal is to have maximum of 2 shots to get in the hole, okay? So when we talk about not 3 putting, not 4 putting, getting things up and down when we're just barely off the green with the putter. If we're using the putter, should be, we're getting it in within 2 shots. If we get it in the first one, fantastic, but it's not always gonna happen. So when we think about 2 putting, the most important thing to avoid 3 putts or 4 putts or worse is going to be speed. We need to get, remember, we need to get the speed and the aim correct in order to make the putt, right? If it's an absolutely perfectly straight putt, we've got to aim, we've got to be able to aim right at it, okay, which we'll touch on a little bit. But we also need to be able to get the speed right. If we leave it a little bit too short, any bit short, then it's obviously not going to go in. And if we hit it too hard, it's going to make, it's not going to go in, it's going to roll over the hole or could bounce out. It's not going to usually go in if we hit it too hard. Every once in a while, if the pin's still in, which we're going to be playing to for a while, you can hit it a little bit harder, but you can't hit it too hard as well as too soft. Okay, so we got to get both those things right. And as far as making sure we 2-putt, speed control is going to be the most important one there. So what I want you guys to do, if you don't have practice little strip of grass like this or AstroTurf to practice on, I want you guys just to use whether it's on your carpet or hardwood floors, whatever it is. I want you guys to put a golf ball or a tee or a plastic cup or something that's not breakable. Don't grab your parents' glasses that can break and lay those on the ground. Again, we try and avoid breaking things in our at-home clinics now. That's going to be your target. Okay, so our goal is, great. If we hit it, fantastic. You'll know if you probably hit it too far or too hard. Maybe it does touch the cup. Maybe it does hit the golf ball. Maybe it does hit the tee, whatever you choose as a target. But you're going to know if you hit it too hard, okay? So we want to ease it up there. We want to try, if we don't hit the target itself, we want it to stop within 1 foot past the hole. Okay, so your goal is going to be able to hit 5 putts in a row. Either they hit your target or they stop within 1 foot past it. If you leave one short, no good. We got to get 5 in a row that are at least to the target and within a foot past it. Okay, so that's your goal here. We'll see how I do. Okay, pretty good. Okay, who's betting that I miss one? Who thinks I can make all 5? Coach better be able to do this, right? All right, so luckily made all 5, and yes, that was my first try. I don't want to hear anything from you, Julian. That was my first try. If you make all 5, again, like I said, you're going to go to 10 in a row, okay? And keep doing that. That's how I want you guys practicing speed, okay? So it's got to, for me, it's got to at least get to the hole or go past it and miss it and roll back to me, okay? And again, I have a good sense of if I hit it too hard or, I do have a hole here, so if it goes through or if I miss it left and it goes too hard, I'm really focusing on speed on this, not so much aim. But we do need to focus on aim as well, right? That's the second part of being able to make a putt. We need to be able to have the speed correct, and then we also need to be able to have the aim correct, all right? Speed can change where we aim. The harder we hit it, the less the putt's gonna break. Usually when people are a little bit closer, we hit it a little bit harder so it doesn't break as much. It's a little bit easier to make the putt when we're really close. That's probably 3 feet and in, okay, when it's okay to hit it a little bit harder. But you guys are gonna be able to judge that, especially, once we get on the golf course, where you feel comfortable hitting it a little bit harder. Nothing crazy, the harder we hit it, it makes actually the hole a little bit smaller. you know, because if we hit it real easy and it just barely drops in, we're using the entire hole. Even if we're just a little bit off on the right, it's just on the right corner of the hole. If it's going, the slower the speed that it's going, the more likely it is to drop into the hole. Okay, so it's always better to just kind of barely get it past it. We want to get it to the hole, but we don't want to hit it too far past. So once we start talking about aim, most people, and again, if you don't have it, you know, we'll figure out different ways to do it. But usually on their putter, or on your putters, there's going to be some sort of little line there. So if I come closer to the camera, you can see on my putter, it's got a line right on top, okay? That is 90 degrees to the putter face. So putter face is here, and then we've got a line going this way. This tells me, that white line tells me where my putter face is aimed, and if I do an okay job, you know, or even better, you know, job of keeping that putter face square or lined up to my target properly, we're gonna make a lot of putts, okay? That's gonna tell us where that putter's aimed. If we get a good stroke, that's where the ball is gonna go, okay? So it's really important to utilize that. We've got a couple of you guys that I've seen that don't aim the putter properly. You think you can aim it with your stroke. You know, if you aim the putter way left, and we're not, and you know, this is a straight putt for me, if I aim way left and then try and manipulate it to go into the hole, that manipulation is very inconsistent and hard to do, okay? So it's a lot easier if we can line up properly, utilize the tools that are on our clubs to help us. That's why it's there. It's not just there because it looks pretty. It's there to help us aim properly, okay? So what I'd like you guys to do, if you have carpet, perfect. If you have hardwood, that works too. There's little lines on, you know, everybody's carpet, just about, unless you have shag, okay? Or on hardwood, you can use the lines to show you where that putter's aimed, okay? So like here, I've got hardwood floor. We'll go over here so you can see it. If I line the putter up to that line, okay, so the face of the putter is going along with the line in between the pieces of wood, and then go ahead and hit my putt, it should go right where that white line is pointed. So pay attention where that white line is pointed. For me here, I've got a little line that helps me on this. It's a great training aid. Now from here, I'm not going to think about, once my stroke starts, I'm not going to think about aiming it or steering it, we call it, into a different direction. I'm just going to turn my upper body back, turn through, and hopefully it goes in. If it doesn't, it's going to be right past the hole, so I can just tap in the next one and move on to the next hole. Okay, so last little drill that I want you guys working on, this is when we're going to need all 3 golf balls, okay? So what's going to happen is we're going to put the golf ball in the middle, okay, and right in line with that golf ball going straight across here is going to be 2 more golf balls. They're going to be just outside the edges. This is the toe of the putter, this is the heel, so it's going to be just outside of that. I'm going to move these in just a little bit, okay? And now I want to be able to take putting strokes without hitting the golf ball in the middle, without hitting the ones on the outside. So if I can take it back and through and miss those golf balls on the outside, then I know I had a pretty good stroke, okay? So anybody that is a little wobbly when they take it through that way, okay, you might have some trouble and start hitting some of these side golf balls, okay? So we want to stay away from those sides. If you hit them, set it back up, okay? You can put some little ball marks underneath it in case they do move, so you can put it in the same spot every time. Golf ball in the middle there, get a little closer. Let's see if I can make it a little tougher on myself on this one. Okay, pretty good. So the closer they are, the harder it's going to be. And again, if we get a little wobbly or come from it inside this way too much, we're going to end up hitting some of those side golf balls, and I don't want you hitting those side ones. Okay, so aim, we're going to pay attention to where that white line is pointed. Okay, some of you might have a dot, some of you might have 2 lines, 3 lines. It's all there just for visual help. Okay, it's a visual aid for you to be able to know where your putter's aimed. Pay attention to where you're aimed, focus on what speed you're going to hit it, what speed you want to hit it, okay? Quick recap, everybody, of today's clinic, what I want you guys to focus on, okay? So, set up with putting. We changed the grip a little bit, okay? Remember, your grip we want your palms facing each other when you grip it. We're gonna hold it just like that and then put our hands around it. It's gonna feel a little bit different than your normal grip would feel if you were hitting a 7-iron or a drive or something along those lines. And just like that, if it was 7-iron, we want the shaft and our hands a little bit forward. With the putter, we don't. We want our hands right in the middle of our stance, okay, or right in the middle of our legs, right on our belt buckle. Everything, our toes, our knees, our hips, our shoulders, parallel left to where we're aiming, okay? That sounds pretty familiar, right? If we watched last week's video, still very, very important in putting. Now, how much do we bend over? Remember, we're gonna hold it out in front of us here, tuck our elbows in, bend at the waist, and when that putter hits the ground, that's how much we're gonna bend over, okay? As far as the stroke goes, we're using our upper body, we're using belt and up. Lower body stays very still. Our wrists don't have any hit. We don't try and add more pressure to the golf ball by hitting it with our hands. All we're doing is letting gravity take control, moving our upper body back and letting it rotate through, okay? That's gonna move the putter for you. So as we take it back, upper body, back and through. You can see it's a lot of my shoulders, it's a little bit of my chest. It's not my wrists, okay? The more you use your wrists, the harder it's gonna be to control speed. Speed, to me, more important than aim. It's a lot more likely you're gonna 3-putt or 4-putt or more by leaving the putts 5 feet short, 10 feet short, 5 feet long, 10 feet long, than it is to misread it 5 feet left or 5 feet right, okay? So speed's gonna be your main focus. Aim is certainly important, okay, especially as we're getting closer to the hole. We're gonna utilize the visual aids that are on our putters and make sure we know where we're gonna aim, okay? And then the speed is gonna be to the target, which is in most cases gonna be the hole, or slightly past it within a foot, okay? So that's where your drills come in. That's when you're gonna put a target 10 feet away from you, 15 feet away from you. Depend on, it's gonna depend on how comfortable you are with putting and how easy it is for you. So start with 10 feet away, put a ball marker, a tee, an unbreakable glass from your parents' cabinet, anything out there that you can kind of use as something to aim towards. And we're gonna try and hit 5 putts in a row. If we can get 5 putts in a row to at least get to that target or stay within a foot past of it, nothing short. If it's short, gotta start all over. I wanna see 5 in a row. If you get that pretty quick, try for 10 in a row. Push the target a little further back. We should be able to 2-putt from just about anywhere. Very rarely is a 3-putt a good thing out on the golf course. So our goal is definitely 2, and our goal is definitely speed control more than it is aim for right now. Now again, aim is very, very important. So we're going to utilize that alignment or a visual aid, a line or dot or 3 lines, whatever you have on your putter. And then for the stroke, we're going to just do basic general motion of it, making sure we're not too far off of what is acceptable, okay? We don't want to take it way back in here, that's a manipulation. We don't want to take it out there, that's a manipulation. All right, and that, or this drill is going to make you take the putter on the right arc, okay? Right arch is going to help too. We talked about that earlier. Now, if we put a golf ball as close to the toe, we've got 3 golf balls here, 1 as close to the toe as possible, 1 as close to the heel as possible, or as that you feel comfortable with. You can start them a little bit further apart if you like. And then we're gonna hit the one in the middle and try and do that same thing, trying to hit 5 putts. Oh, 0 for 1, so I'd have to start over. Try and hit 5 putts in a row where we don't hit those 2 golf balls on the outside and we get it to the target or slightly past within 1 foot, okay? So keep in touch with me, guys and girls. Can't wait to see you. This is week number 3. We probably have another 3 weeks doing this. Send me emails, let me know what you want to work on next week, and I'm happy to oblige. All right, miss you guys. Have a great week. Take care.